Buenos dias, amigos. Me llamo Ricardo. A little pop geography quiz before we get going. A, I'm on the Columbia ice field in Canada. B, I'm in the middle of the Amazon in a rainforest. Or C, I'm at Bahia de las Ballenas in Baja, California. Well, if you answered either A or B, I'm afraid there's going to be probably a waiver on your next medical. But if you answered C, well, this program's for you. I can tell you're ready to go. I'm going to fly this 1952 Tripacer called Slowpoke down the Pacific coast of Baja, around the Cape, and then up the Gulf into the United States. I'm going to show you how easy it is to get into Baja. I'm going to show you how easy it is to get back into the United States. But most of all, I'm going to show you how much fun you can have flying Baja. Just left Montgomery Field, San Diego, and the plan is to stop in Ensenada, Mexico, and check in with customs. We're going to make it easy on ourselves. We're going to pass over the top of Brown Field, which is on the San Diego side of the border. They're a Class Delta, so we're going to go over the top at 3,000 feet so we don't have to talk with them. But we're going to have to talk with Tijuana Approach and Tijuana Tower. And Tijuana Approach will guide us through that whole procedure. You'll see how easy it is. We're going to have some fun on this trip. This morning, I called flight service and I filed a southbound Mexican flight plan. I also filed a northbound plan at the same time. They like that. I knew when I was coming back, so I told them, and they just made a northbound plan at the same time for me. And I told them to advise customs. That's important. Normally they do it on their own, but it's good to verify that they advise customs for you. Now, weather down in Baja, there's not much reporting going on. They get La Paz, they get Cabo. They may get Ensenada from a pilot report. But if you don't get any information from them, what you can do is you can look in your newspaper. A lot of times La Paz is listed in your newspaper. But other than that, you just have to rely on the fact that Baja is pretty darn good weather all year round. Let's call flight service now and check in and open our flight plan. San Diego Radio, November 668 Alpha.
November 668 Alpha, San Diego Radio.
November 668 Alpha would like to open its flight plan to Mexico.
November 68 Alpha, Roger. Flight plan is activated. Still an air mat for turbulence in effect. Past pilot reports to Flight Watch.
Also like to check to see if our northbound is on file with advised customs.
November 68 Alpha, I show you back into Calexico on the 25th at 3 p.m. local time. Customs notification then.
Thank you very much, 668 Alpha. Well, you can see that that's pretty easy, and we're on our way. The next thing we're going to be doing is calling Tijuana Approach, but we're not quite close enough yet for that. Well, we're not quite 12 miles from Tijuana. Pretty soon we're going to have to be contacting Tijuana Approach. But before we cross the border, there are a few things that you need on board. One of them is AERO. You know what the acronym AERO stands for, all you pilots do. You also need 12-inch numbers on the side of your aircraft, and you also need a data plate on the back. Now, if it's a rental aircraft you're taking, you're going to need a notarized statement from the owner of the airplane allowing you to fly into Mexico. So you better check, make sure you have all those things. Well, we're about 10 miles north of the border. I'm going to squawk 1260. That alerts everybody I'm going to be crossing the border. And I'm going to call TJ approach on 119.5. Tijuana approach, November 668 Alpha.
Something Alpha again?
668 Alpha is about 10 miles north. We'd like to fly over your top at 3,200, direct Ensenada.
Roger, contact Tijuana Tower at 118.1, maintain VFR, altimeter 3010.
668 Alpha, thank you, sir.
And once overhead, Tijuana Squawk 1221.
1221, roger, 668 Alpha. You can see that was pretty easy. TJ Approach likes you to go directly over the top of Tijuana International because they're a major jet port, and they funnel all their jet traffic over the shoreline. So they don't like you to fly from San Diego down the shoreline to Ensenada. They prefer you to go over the top. You can see how easy it is to understand their English. They speak very good English, very clear, and you'll have that all the way down to Cabo. Well, there's Brown Field, and just beyond it, Tijuana International. I better set in that code they wanted, 1221. Tijuana Tower, this is November 668 Alpha.
Station calling Tijuana Tower, saying you call Blue Coastline, your aircraft time.
668 Alpha is a PA-22.
668 Alpha Royer, report correction, contact approach 19.5 for traffic information.
Roger, thank you, sir, 668 Alpha. And we'll switch over to Tijuana Approach. Tijuana Approach, 668 Alpha, back with you, 3,200, direct Ensenada.
Roger, maintain VFR.
Thank you, 668 Alpha.
If you decide to land at Tijuana International, you'll be right in there with the heavies, such as Mexicali, Alaska Air, Continental, and Aeromexico. They'll fit you in rather easily and ask you to exit at the second turnoff for the West End parking to avoid the jet terminals. Expect a security check of your airplane. U.S. War on Drugs pays for a lot of Mexican authorities to inspect your aircraft at fields throughout Baja. The next step is to pay your landing fee, which is calculated on the weight of your aircraft. It can get steep if you're driving a twin.
Well, there's one of my favorite towns in all of Baja, Tijuana.
Tijuana, or TJ, is the home of over 1 million people, and it's the most gaudy, crazy, one hell of a lot of fun town in all of Baja. Enjoy the fun of shopping like you've never had it before. TJ is trapped somewhere between Nordstrom's and Payless.
I'll think about it. I'll think about it.
Give it Let me show you. Take a look.
Silver, leather, you name it, it's all here in TJ. So kick back and enjoy it.
Come again. Come on, Luke. Come here. Maybe you weigh some beef today. Here.
Yes. It's $10 for the picture.
Can you point to the Rolex?
$10 for the picture.
Oh, yeah?
$15 for the picture. No,
Going.
it's $100 for this picture.
Block-long malls sell everything that anyone in the world wouldn't covet. That's right. You can't go wrong for birthdays, bar mitzvahs, or weddings. It's extraordinary fun for the kids, adolescents, and especially adults flush with cash. Now let's face it, you can't really go home without a coveted photo of you and a Baja zebra. Americans claim Elvis is dead, but his Mexican friends say he's tan, trim, and packing them in with his new act in TJ.
Les platicaré de una chica gorda que está muy curiosa y todas le dicen Hule, 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 hule. Cuando va a la playa, se mete a nadar.
Once past TJ, the coastline is clear to fly. Just ask TJ Approach. Rosarito is just 15 miles southwest, and because there's no airport, you have to visit by car. In fact, the whole coastline from Tijuana to Ensenada can only be visited by car. But it's lined with fun places and posh resorts like the Rosarito Beach Hotel. This place started as a one-bathroom hotel, casino, and bar during Prohibition. Today, there's no Prohibition in the U.S., and obviously none in Baja. Just lots of fun.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Thank you. Gracias.
A major toll highway leads south past fancy resorts to Ensenada. These are great places to stay, offering a bit of Latin luxury.
If you look at the CH22 WAC chart, which is what you're going to use all the way down the Baja, you'll see this big circle around Tijuana International that extends 50 nautical miles out, and that's their terminal control area. And you can look in the little box off to the left, and it'll tell you what flight layers there are, and only 2, so it's pretty easy to negotiate. You shouldn't have any problems figuring that one out. And as it is now, we're beyond the 25 nautical mile area, so we are out of touch with Tijuana Approach, although I'm maintaining the frequency here, and they may try to call me. I doubt it. As we get closer to Ensenada, I want to mention there are 7 airports of entry in Baja California. Let's take the Pacific side first. We just overflew Tijuana International. That's one of them. The second one down the line is Ensenada, and of course that's where we're landing. And the next one on the Pacific side is actually Cabo, all the way down. On the Gulf side, you have Mexicali, which is the first one after the border, followed by San Felipe, another 100 miles down. And then in the southern part of Baja, there's Laredo, La Paz, which is even further, and then again, you're down at Cabo. So those are the 7 airports of entry. And you want to make sure that you don't come in after their hours of operation or before their hours of operation. I have done that, and I can tell you, you're going to pay a little bit of a fine, or might get a little bit of a hassle. They're usually pretty courteous to you, but you're stuck there. Your airplane's grounded because they're not in operation, so you're going to have to find a hotel or get a taxi or whatever else. And it really isn't any fun. I've had a couple friends do the same thing, and they wound up walking to find a hotel or to find a taxi. So make sure that you check with flight service in the United States, and they'll give you the hours of operation for these airports of entry.
Ensenada is only 50 nautical miles from Tijuana. So enjoy the coastline because it's the best part of this area.
Now we're getting close to Ensenada. That's one of my favorite towns, also one of the largest towns in Baja. I think it's the 3rd largest after Tijuana and Mexicali. And it's right on a beautiful bay. In fact, Ensenada means cove, and boy, is it beautiful. And remember, I mentioned that 10 miles out of Ensenada, we would have to contact the tower, and that's pretty standard for a tower-controlled airport. They want to hear from you at least 10 miles out. So we're going to contact Ensenada, and it's on 119.75. I got that off the WAC chart. Here we go. Ensenada Tower, Tripacer 668 Alpha.
66 Alpha, Ensenada Tower, go ahead.
668 Alpha is 10 miles to the north for landing Ensenada. 2 on board. Our departure airport was Montgomery Field, San Diego.
Roger, runway use 29er, wind direction calm. Altimeter setting 3010. Continue your approach and report 5 miles.
Report 5 miles. And could you say the runway again for me, please?
Yes, expect straight approach runway 11.
Runway 11, roger, 668 Alpha. Thank you, sir. Those who know Ensenada would probably back me up on this. It's one of the most beautiful bays in all of Baja.
Ah, Ensenada. It seems as if the further south you go, the better Baja becomes. Ensenada, the largest port of Baja, with cruise ships and international commerce. Its harbor is alive with activity from all over the world. You just have to watch out for the local air traffic. Ensenada's history is steeped in gold. Husong's Cantina is the bar that built a town. A German immigrant opened this shop over 100 years ago. It has the look and feel of something out of the Old West. Like Tijuana, Ensenada's streets invite the tourist, but the deals are better and it's not quite as hectic. One of the great treats of Ensenada is its renowned fish market. Bring a cooler and load up. Everything is available here, even a few delicacies that are verboten in the United States. Everything is here from tuna to oysters, caught and sold by Zorba the Mexican. The fish market sports great fish taco stands and seafood restaurants with a romantic tropical ambience. Well, enough fun in town. Let's head south.
One of the great things about this airport is that it's right on the coastline. All you have to do to find it is to go right down the coastline and keep looking to your left a little bit, and pretty soon you'll see some hangars and you'll see the airfield. It's a joint military civilian airfield. It is one of the quiet, nice airfields in Baja as far as an international airport of entry.
Okay, sir, it's clear for land, wind calm.
Okay, clear to land on 11, wind calm 668 Alpha. Thank you, sir.
Sometime Ensenada can be a hassle because of a marine layer. Today it's hazy, but not socked in, so we're lucky. Because of its proximity to the coastal weather, Tijuana, or even San Felipe on the Gulf side, are alternates for an airport of entry.
68 Alpha, clear runway, next intersection to your left, Alpha main ramp.
Hola.
Close your flight plan.
Close my flight plan.
Where do you go?
Okay, and you
your
have...
license pilot and your registration aircraft, sir?
Sure. Here's the registration. And let's see. Airplane. Going through Mexican entry procedures can be a sweat the first time you experience it, but it's not unmanageable because the Mexican authorities are helpful and polite,
Cabo.
even though the language barrier becomes more acute as you fly south.
Cabo San Lucas.
Cabo San Lucas.
Yeah.
Piper.
You'll need to fill out a Mexican flight plan, which is easy. The Mexican personnel will either fill out the form or help you to complete it.
12:15. And
Passengers one.
one passenger. Thanks for your help.
Ensenada.
Ensenada.
Okay. Ensenada right here.
Ensenada 16.
Marcel.
When it comes time to pony up for a landing fee, you'd better have the correct amount, in dollars or pesos, because there's never enough change, if you know what I mean.
How many pesos? Because I have some pesos.
How many pesos? A ver. 45?
45 pesos?
I think so, 45.
Okay, here we go. 45 pesos for landing fee. Do you have change? I can donate that to your fund for the soldiers here. Don't worry about it if you don't have it. They don't have the customs here today?
No.
No? So we're on our own now. They'll come out and check your airplane, and you have no problems.
Okay.
And you're processed through in less than 20 minutes. We actually took about 15 minutes, and it was very easy, as you can see.
Fuel at the major airports of entry is seldom a problem. Avgas is readily available in 9 airports in a peninsula 800 miles long. When you pay, it's always cash and always the exact amount. Taking off from Ensenada is like launching into the real Baja. The next major city is La Paz, 700 miles south. But first, you have to report leaving their tower-controlled airspace.
Ensenada Tower, Tripacer 668 Alpha reporting 10 miles south.
Okay, sir. Clear and roll frequency, and have a nice day.
Thank you very much, sir. Well, now we're free and clear. We reported 10 miles south as he requested on takeoff, and we're now in free airspace. We're talking to nobody.
Just south along the shoreline is a point that features one of the rarities of nature, La Bufadora, or the Blowhole. A small community has built up around this natural wonder, one that must really be enjoyed in the midst of it all. Incoming waves rush into an underground cavern and shoot a flume as high as 90 feet. The road leading to the Blowhole is lined with fascinating tourist shops and vendors exhibiting great skill. Whether you're driving a Piper, a VW, or more comfortable wheels, you're going to enjoy La Bufadora. As we fly south, there are only a few small airstrips for even smaller villages, but we're headed inland to one of the best working vacation ranches in Baja, Rancho San Jose, or the Melling Ranch. It's only a half-hour flight from the coast. GPS is a handy way to locate the airfield, or by a VOR radial off of San Quintin. It's located in a large valley beneath the San Pedro de Martir mountain range. It's a one-way strip on the side of a hill. The approach end is from the riverbed near the ranch. Most pilots use 122.8 as the common traffic frequency at airfields that don't have assigned frequencies. The strip is easily spotted against the rugged range, one of Baja's truly grand landscapes, with Baja's highest sierras as a backdrop. This ranch house was built during the Mexican Revolution of 1910 by a Norwegian family.
Over the years, we started a guest ranch here. I asked my father if he'd finance me to build some rooms. What for? So I can have guests. You mean you're going to charge them? You want me to loan you money so you can charge people that want to come visit us? No part. And he wouldn't, so I had to go get a banker to help me. So then it began to grow just by word of mouth, and more people and more people and more people, and then pretty soon they wrote articles about the ranch and stuff. And it is a working cattle ranch, and we plant our fields and bale hay and whatnot for the cattle and the horses, and grow our own vegetables, have our own chickens, and it's a very nice place to live. As for my guests that come here, well, we have horseback riding, we eat at a big table, a ring a gong, and sometimes we have 2-3 tables full of people, and they all eat together. They're big meals. And don't complain if you get fat, but we just do. You get awful hungry here. And up in the rec room, we have a piano, and then we have a ping pong table, and we have a pool room, and then they can go out and play horseshoes or volleyball, whatever they want to out in the grass, see?
We come from Switzerland, and we are very happy to see Baja, because it's so natural and all these mountains around. And you can see as far as you want, you only see quiet, nice, peaceful landscapes.
Leaving the peaceful, green, verdant valley of the Melling Ranch, we fly southwest to the coast to a special bay. 3 bays in one, actually, San Quintin. You can't miss San Quintin's distinct shape. It's not 1 bay, but 3. The persistent summer haze and marine layer can hamper flying, but it usually burns off in the late morning hours. The bays are surrounded by volcanoes, distinct remnants of bygone eruptions that formed this magnificent area. It's one of Baja's major agricultural areas, supplying Mexico and the U.S.
Okay, what we have here, this is it's called Campo Lorenzo Sky Park, located here in San Quintin. And we have a strip here that's 60 feet wide by 2,500 feet long. We have an obstacle on 28. We have runways 10 and 28. 28 is over wires. We have 3 orange balls, so be careful there. On 10, it's straight over the water. No problem.
There are plenty of tie-downs near Campo de Lorenzo, a private enclave of double-wides and houses. If you're planning to rent a room for the night, a friendly local will probably give you a lift the half-mile over to the local hotels.
Yeah, you're saying, Mike, if you want it done, do it yourself.
There are usually plenty of fishermen cleaning their catch near the numerous places to stay. The Old Mill Motel and RV Park is a long-time favorite of anglers and bird hunters. It sports clean brick cottages with kitchenettes. Next door to the Old Mill is Don Eddy's with good clean accommodations and food. If you plan to charter a fishing boat, you can do it here or at other places around the small fishing community. But for now, Tommy and Jack are just kicking back and soaking up the great view. At night, the locals always enjoy a good laugh with guests at Don Eddy's Lounge and Restaurant. There is a boardwalk with a very pleasant restaurant and bar that serves breakfast, lunch, and dinner and hosts a full house of partying anglers on the weekends. If you can hitch a lift or borrow a car, don't miss the Garden Oasis of San Quintin, the Jardines Baja restaurant where good food abounds, such as fresh halibut smothered in mango sauce and other seafood and steak dinners.
Good stuff, isn't it? Very good.
We're flying over Cielito Lindo, a fly-in fishing, camping, and just plain getaway resort. The approach is over a vast flatland, and the strip is well maintained. Cielito Lindo is a favorite among the real campers, or those hauling campers, or those looking for a nice, quiet, spacious room within easy walking distance of a long, white, sandy beach. Cielito Lindo has pleasant accommodations and a great restaurant, with a very special treat for all visitors. At night, Cielito Lindo comes alive. People just seem to drift in and fill the spacious restaurant and bar. Although the simple menu is certainly adequate, almost every guest is anxious to order the specialty, the crab dinner. The bar is well supplied, friendly, and will serve almost anyone with 2 legs.
It's actually, there are 3 bays. There is the Bay of San Quintin, and there's the False Bay of San Quintin, and then there's the Outer Bay of San Quintin. When you have that many bays, you have a lot of shellfish. There's the crab, there's the oysters, there's the clams, there's, you name it, and it's all here. The shrimp, and the beach. The beach is, actually we front on the Outer Bay. We're a south-facing beach. 12 miles long. It has a lot of pyrite in the sand. They call it the Beach of Gold, Playa de Oro, because of the pyrite.
We had a heck of a meal tonight, and it was a mound of crab.
Actually, it's a kilo of crab. And yeah, there's a lot of preparation that goes into it, but not as much as there is in eating it. It takes a lot of time and effort, but it's well worth the effort.
Ron, how is the fishing here in San Quintin?
The fishing is absolutely fabulous. We have yellowtail all year round. Every month of the year we have yellowtail. And of course the bottom fish is great. We get dorado up here. Of course the marlin fishing is great here too. A little further south we have to travel for them. But other than that, it's absolutely fabulous.
Hook up! The upscale La Pinta Hotel is within easy walking distance of Cielito Lindo and serves a pretty good breakfast to the multitude of tourists driving south.
Nothing like a good jump start in the morning when you're traveling, particularly on Mexico 1. We're lucky enough to, on our placemat, to have a really good outline of Baja. Gives us a good idea of that unique shape of this peninsula. Baja is 806 miles long from the border near San Diego down to the very tip at Cabo. Most people would think that the widest part is up at the northern border from Tijuana over near Yuma, and that is only 120 miles. If you go down midway, you'll see that from Punta Eugenio on the Pacific coast, you draw a line across to San Francisco on the Gulf side, that's actually 144 miles. Now the narrowest part is down just north of La Paz. You can see that little stretch there. That's 28 miles across. Now if you laid the entire coastline out, it would stretch out 3,000 miles long. And just think of all the fishing possibilities, the RV and camping possibilities that you have in 3,000 miles of great coastline. Now, we're at San Quintin right here. And today we're going to follow Mexico 1 down the highway to Cadavina in the interior of Baja. Well, I tell you, all that traveling sure makes one hungry.
It's difficult to leave one of my favorite places along the Pacific, Cielito Lindo. Flying south along the vacant sandy shoreline, I can only imagine the millions of tasty clams we're passing over.
Well, we're cruising down the beach now at just south of San Quintin, and we certainly have a better day today than we had yesterday. We had marine layer yesterday that we were battling, but beautiful today. And that brings up a point, and that's navigation in Baja. One of the things about Baja is you never know when you're going to get a marine layer on the Pacific side. It's very much like Southern California. So you want to be prepared for that. And there are VORs that you can use here in Baja. There are 7 of them, actually. On the Pacific side, there's Tijuana and San Quintin. And then you have to go all the way down to Cabo for the 3rd one on the Pacific side. Now on the Gulf side, there's Mexicali, there is Santa Rosalia, Loreto, La Paz, and again at Cabo. And then you've got on the mainland some VORs that you can do cross radials. One of the things that I like to do though when I'm flying Baja is just use pilotage. After all, we've got a narrow peninsula, it's got a unique shoreline, a rugged shoreline, lots of bays, lots of coves, lots of mountains, and it's very easy to use pilotage here. And I, of course, use the CH22 WAC chart of Baja. That's a must. I take a AAA map with me for the roads, so, you know, and they also have little airport symbols on here. And then I use the book Airports of Baja California, and that's a must. It's got photos of all of the dirt strips as well as the paved strips, and that is a must to carry with you. Well, back at San Quintin, we looked at the shape of Baja. We discussed that a little bit. But to really see the contour of Baja, we should probably get some altitude and look down on it. So I'm going to put the throttle to the firewall here, and we're going to see what the service ceiling is on this old Tripacer.
I'd say that the service ceiling on this old bird clearly exceeds Piper's expectations. In fact, my altimeter quit a little while ago. I don't really know how high we are, but I can tell you one thing, that the traffic up here is far worse than it is down there in Baja airspace. Well, we've got a great view of Baja from up here. You can clearly see how slender the Baja Peninsula is. It's virtually a long, narrow ridge of mountains that extends from the Sierras of California down 800 miles into Mexican territory and finally disappears into the Pacific 800 miles later. You can see how the peninsula broke away from the mainland many tens of millions of years ago, and the waters from the Pacific flooded in, forming the Gulf of California. and is some of the richest sport fishing waters in all of the Northern American and Central American areas. Looking at the mountain range, you can see how it tapers gradually toward the Pacific Ocean, while on the Gulf side, it drops off rather quickly. You also see Mulahay from up here, a great shot of Mulahay and Punta Prieta, and we'll be landing there later on. And there's Bahia Concepcion, one of the most picturesque bays in the world. We'll be flying over that. And Magdalena Bay, a spectacularly large bay surrounded by long, white, sandy beaches. Oh boy, what a great shot of La Paz Bay with its long, white, sandy breakwater. And that coastline, that's the East Cape area that leads down to Cabo San Lucas. That's some of the greatest sport fishing of all of Baja. Holy cow, meteorites. I'm going to get this baby back down before we puncture some fabric.
Back in Baja airspace, we're going Mexican IFR, using the only paved highway in most of Baja. We're leaving the coastline and heading to Rancho Santa Ynez. The Transpeninsular Highway, known as Baja 1, snakes its way over rugged hills toward the interior. We fly effortlessly above caravans of vehicles winding along their narrow ribbon, while Slowpoke is free to wander the wide-open expanse known as the interior. 50 miles inland, the long strip at El Marmol, or the Marble, used to be the quick connection to the outside world for a large onyx mining company. But the mine is no longer operating, although there is plenty of onyx left. The strip has been ditched by the government as part of the program to keep it out of the drug loop and ruining one of the fun spots to hop into. It pays to check each strip before you use it. The landscape continues to change as flat-top mesas begin appearing and boulders and cactus begin to stipple the desert's surface. The Catavina boulder field is one of the most spectacular oddities of Baja. Huge boulders and weird cactus make this a special place to stop. The large paved runway is easily approachable in the middle of the Boulder Canyonland. Rancho Santa Ynez is an original way station in central Baja. It prospered along the old dirt auto road, becoming a welcome overnight stop for road-weary travelers. There's friendly, Spartan accommodations here, and Rancho Santa Ynez has been and continues to be host for Baja travelers. 1 kilometer north, there's a more elegant La Pinta Hotel across from a Pemex station. Unfortunately, there's no avgas here, but there is something very special.
Boy, are we lucky. Here we are, smack in the heart of the cactus and boulder garden in central Baja. This is it. Doesn't get any better than this if you like cactus. We have 3 indigenous cacti surrounding us. We've got an elephant tree, we've got Cirio or Bujum, and we have the cardon.
The towering cardon is the world's tallest species of cactus. Some grow as high as a 6-story building and weigh 12 tons. This is the most common type of cactus in Baja and resembles the picturesque saguaro of Arizona and Sonora. At its base is a barrel-type cactus, fully grown. The tiniest and the largest cactus can be found in Baja. This tall, slender stalk belongs to the weirdest plant in Baja, the Cirio or Bujum tree. It's like an inverted carrot, and if it has rained recently, a golden plume of popcorn-like flowers will anoint its spindly head. The Cirio grows only in Baja and Sonora and provides a photographer with many odd shapes to compose. This bulbous gray, gnarly trunk belongs to the elephant tree. The thick trunk and branches retain whatever moisture becomes available. Its small green leaves sprout after a rainfall and disappear within a few weeks until the next rainfall. Botanists have identified over 100 species of cactus worldwide. About 75% of these are found only in Baja. Just 25 miles south of Rancho Santa Ynez is the largest dry lake bed in Baja, Laguna Chapala. This is also where the paved highway was officially completed when northern and southern road crews finally met. That big white sandy target just invites some fun flat hatting. With that out of our systems for a while, we head south past the intersection to Bahia de los Angeles on the Gulf side. That stretch offers the most turbulent paved road driving in Baja. Makes you feel thankful you're flying. Just south is Punta Prieta, a small town with a big paved strip. The highway department built this strip to support the thousands of workers toiling 7 days a week, month after month, to complete the 1,058-mile-long road in just 2 years. No sooner did we step onto the rough, overgrown pavement of this seldom-used runway than soldiers began to appear from the brush. They spoke no English, and my high school Spanish was called to task. But their friendliness and willingness to be videotaped was an indication that our travels in Baja, no matter if it's in a seldom visited area, are welcome. The young soldiers checked the cargo while the jefe, or chief, reviewed my flight plan. Since it was extremely hot, the only smart ones appeared to be the local dogs lounging under the belly of the airplane. This type of greeting is not uncommon in remote areas. They're usually looking for guns or drugs. If you're clean, they slip back into the brush. The strip is rough and overgrown, and an early turnout pops you right over the top of a field of cardón. From Punta Prieta, we're traveling to the coast past the fishing village of Santa Rosalia, down to the large mid-peninsula city of Guerrero Negro. Bahia Santa Rosalia is a middle-of-nowhere great place to camp and fish, a quiet getaway before you hit Guerrero Negro. You know you're getting near Guerrero Negro when you pass over these spectacular dunes. And if you pass a long paved strip, you're passing the Guerrero Negro Airport, located 4 miles north of town.
Well, it looks like we're coming up on the 140-foot Steel Eagle. That means that we're going to be crossing over the border into Baja del Sur from Baja Norte. And that is the line. And it was at that Eagle that Presidente Luis Echeverria in 1973 inaugurated the Transpeninsular Highway right here, and that's why Guerrero Negro has such a great airport. It's a beautiful airport. Whoa! We went through the time zone. That's right, from Pacific time to Mountain time, right here at the 28th parallel.
This large airport was built so that President Echeverria and his entourage could land comfortably for the ceremony opening Baja 1. There are authorities here to charge you a modest landing fee and modify your flight plan. The avgas pumps are open during the Mexican work week, long siestas during midday, and never on Sunday. Fuel is pricey here, but it's the only place available until Laredo on the Gulf side. Remember, you must pay in dollars or pesos and to the closest peso. We park slowpoke near a venerable DC-3 and call for a taxi into town. When you're flying through Baja, taxi drivers are your best friends. You can rent them by the hour, and they know the best places in town. Always ask them for the fare before you begin your journey. Then sit back and enjoy. Guerrero Negro means Black Warrior, after a ship that went aground here 100 years ago. The city is actually 2 towns, the company town, impeccably engineered by the local salt company, and the haphazard Baja Desert community across the river. Commerce runs freely between the 2 distinct towns. One of the major tourist attractions is the annual whale watching tours. We're going to be shuttled about 15 miles west to Scammons Lagoon, a prolific breeding and calving ground for the gray whale. The bus takes us through the town's largest employer, Exportadora de Sal, the salt works, to the largest nursery in the world. Each year, the giant gray whale migrates south from its Arctic feeding grounds to several bays along the southern Baja shores. From January to March, over 6,000 40-foot-long California grays turn this large, shallow lagoon into a warm-water nursery. Some are born on the 4,000-mile journey, but most wait for the placid waters of the Baja lagoons. When born, the babies are 15 feet long and weigh about 1.5 tons. They put on about 100 pounds per day by consuming 50 gallons of mother's milk daily. The milk is 800% richer in fat than human milk. So by mid-March, these healthy 2.5-ton babies are ready to start up the coast with their parents to the rich Arctic feeding grounds. One of the 2-ton newborns decides to check out our boat. He's on the boat. The next day, Slowpoke develops a cough. It appears to be carburation. By Mexican regulation, a Mexican mechanic must be in attendance when a plane is being worked on. In this case, the mechanics working on the DC-3 could care less about helping, but our friendly fuel man gives me a hand. We clean the plugs and continue on our journey with a leaner mixture. South of town are the vast white evaporative salt flats. Guerrero Negro is the world's leading producer of salt. Thousands of evaporating ponds are flooded with seawater to about 3 feet deep. The desert sun evaporates the water, leaving pure, hard salt. It's scooped up and hauled on huge trucks along the world's smoothest sand road, necessary because these special trucks don't have spring suspensions. Because the water near the lagoons is shallow, the salt is loaded onto barges and taken out to Cedrus Island, 55 miles offshore. There, the salt is transferred onto freighters and hauled to refineries. We're flying over the salt flats, past Scammons Lagoon, and over the largest, most barren stretch of Baja, the Vizcaíno Desert. It's named after Sea Captain Sebastián Vizcaíno, who around 1600 charted the Pacific and Gulf coasts of Baja and discovered that it was actually a peninsula, not an island, as it appeared on his sea charts. Nothing like a cold one after a hot day of flying in Baja. But if you had an emergency landing situation, I think you'd want a lot more than a single Tecate beer. I have a few items here that I always carry with me on any trip, whether it's Mexico, U.S., wherever. You certainly want a lot of water if you were stuck out in the middle of nowhere. I always carry a 4-quart canteen, a real sturdy one, wherever I go. I carry a first aid kit, a signal mirror. I've got matches, or in this case, a lighter. I have a knife. You'll want a pocket knife. And, of course, toilet paper. You really need toilet paper in Baja, believe me. Just take it with you, okay? Then we have a flashlight. And this little package is only a few ounces, and I keep it in my airplane all the time. It's a space blanket, and during the evening hours, it'll keep your body heat in, and during the daytime, you can use it to shield yourself from the sun. It's kind of like being wrapped up in aluminum foil, though. And I carry with me a handheld. A handheld, I think, is a must. If you're in an emergency situation out in the middle of nowhere, and let's say your aircraft survives, and of course you're in good shape, and your radios work in the aircraft, well, then use your radios to try to contact someone. But if you don't have a working system, then a handheld is a must. And I'll tell you why. Here's a real good hint when you're flying Baja, and it's right here, right on your WAC CH22 chart. If you look inside the chart here, you'll see that Baja is divided into 3 sectors. The northernmost sector is Sector 1, the center of Baja is Sector 2, and the southern part of Baja is Sector 3. And you look for these little boxes that are on the chart that say Mazatlan Center. And you'll see Sectors 1, 2, and 3 listed there and discrete frequencies for each sector. I'd look in that little box and I'd see that the discrete frequency is 126.3, and of course I'd dial that into my handheld or my aircraft radio. And I'd call up to one of those jetliners, Mexicana or Alaska Air, that's in touch with Mazatlan Center. And I'd give them my information and, of course, wait for someone to rescue me. And maybe, when I'm rescued, that's the time to open up this Tecate. We're going to continue along the coast and out to Bahia Tortugas. Along the way is Malarimo Beach. The prevailing currents of the North Pacific strike this beach head-on, dumping lots of flotsam from all around the Pacific Rim. It's a notorious treasure trove for beachcombers. Everything from toothpaste tubes to cases of scotch have been washed ashore. Past Malarimo, the shoreline becomes a cliff line until it reaches the point. We follow it for a while due to the low ceiling. Then once out of the marine layer, we cut across beautiful sandstone formations to the large circular bay of Bahia Tortugas. This pristine natural bay is a favorite shelter for boats plying the Pacific coast. The town is the largest on this stretch of Baja, with about 5,000 inhabitants. The long paved strip is here to support the fishing industry. There aren't any accommodations or facilities at the strip, but it's an easy walk into town, or a passing car or taxi will pick you up. People are friendly here. After all, they have the distinction of being the most remote settlement on the entire peninsula. A taxi driver saw us fly in, helps us tie down, and takes us to the hotel in town. Bahia Tortuga is a windy desert town. Being 100 miles from the nearest paved road, Bahia Tortugas must be a completely self-contained town. It has a desalination plant for fresh water and an electrical generating plant. It happens to be Sunday, so the people are enjoying their day of rest in a variety of ways. The boats are also resting today, but usually they're working the coast 6 days a week. Commercial fishing is the reason this town in the middle of nowhere is so big.
We process here abalone, snails, and I dive for abalone here. And the trucks, you can see a truck there. Over there, they are fishermen. They fish for shark, sea bass, giant sea bass, yellowtail, calico bass, different kinds of fish. And they put in truck and put into Ensenada. They sell in Ensenada. So a lot of fish that you buy in Ensenada come from here. Places here, you can find different kinds of fish and clams, abalone, lobster. So that's good.
Slowpoke turns northwest towards Isla Natividad and the mountainous Isla Cedros, which can be seen poking out of the marine layer in the distance. Both of these offshore islands have airstrips, and the locals hunt fish. But for hundreds of years, they served as shelter for pirates, hunting more lucrative prey. Isla Natividad is a 4-mile-long narrow island just 5 miles offshore. The marine layer that collects in the Vizcaíno Bay sometimes conceals the tiny flat island. But we find a hole and make a straight-in approach to a well-kept, smooth strip next to the only village on the island. This clapboard community of 400 people is supported by fishing. There are several small cafes in the local homes, as well as small markets for fresh fish and canned goods. It's a rough existence along the rocky coastline. The men haul their boats onshore and offload their catch of table fish and, in season, lobster and abalone. Even after a hard day, the fishermen seem to enjoy getting together to talk shop. At the east end of the airstrip is a surfer paradise called Open Doors, the best beach break on the west coast of North America.
This is a pretty typical spot in that you can fly right into a beautiful beach. There's no one else here, and get out and camp. It's ideal. And also there's some of the other things you can do. There's whale watching at Laguna San Ignacio. You can fly right in there and rent a panga, and that's in the wintertime from January through March, and touch the whales a lot of the time. Over at Punta Chivato on the Sea of Cortez, an excellent place to fly into. They got a hotel there, and you can windsurf, and the fishing's great. And these are all spots where you can literally pull the plane up right to the beach. And that's pretty unique. You don't find that in the States too much.
After spending several hours ashore, the marine layer finally burns off and offers a clear view of Isla Natividad's south end. We turn north toward the larger island Isla Cedros, or Cedar Island, only 5 miles away. Early seafarers mistook a local juniper forest for cedars, and the name stuck. The rough town is hewn out of an even rougher mountainside. It sports several modest hotels, markets, and cantinas. It owes its existence to a small fishing industry, but mostly to the exportation of salt barged from Guerrero Negro. The salt is loaded aboard freighters and taken to Japan, the U.S., and Canada, where it's processed into rock salt and road salt for industrial purposes, with only a small amount used for table salt. The salt company has built a nice paved airport at the south end, and everyone is welcome to use it. Landing at the Strip provides a good look at the salt operation, and someone passing by may be willing to give you a lift into town 3 miles away. Backtracking, we head south to Punta Eugenia and down the coastline. Punta Eugenia juts out into the Pacific at the tip of Baja's spur. A small fishing village provides a jumping-off place for boat trips to the islands that we've just visited so easily. When seen from some altitude, Bahia Tortugas stands out strikingly against its beautiful bay. Continuing southeast along the coast, we fly over rugged barren shoreline toward Bahia Asuncion. This is another cannery town about half the size of Bahia Tortugas. Some of the best onshore fishing is found between this town and the next one further south, Punta Abriojos. You can typically catch corvina, halibut, croaker, and bass. Austere accommodations are available in both places, and both have dirt strips. Just 6 miles around the point from Punta Abriojos is a fun spot, Bahia de las Ballenas and Campo René. This rustic Mexican getaway is on a small backwater lagoon just across from the ocean. The lagoon waters are placid, and the green marshes provide a haven for large flocks of waterfowl. At Campo René, you're landing on a wide sandy road, but it is used by aircraft and is hard-packed and smooth. There's also a windsock near one of the buildings. Campo René is nothing more than one cooking cabana, a communal restroom, and a dozen rustic cabins. It's a nice, quiet place to kick back and plan tomorrow's leg.
We could pick up some gas in San Juan.
This coastal section of Baja does not have avgas. The nearest sources are back at Guerrero Negro or across to the Gulf city of Loreto, 125 nautical miles away. Speaking of tanking up, it's time to settle in for the evening.
Well, I've got good news and I've got bad news. First, the bad news. Looks like a perfectly clear Baja night tonight, but unfortunately when it gets darker, we're not going to be able to fly in that clear weather because there's no single engine VFR night flying in Baja, or Mexico for that matter. But the good news is the bar is open. And what better use for a horizontal stabilizer than happy hour? We've got our pretzels, and we've got our Triscuits, and we have some limes, and we have some cheese, and we have tequila.
Tequila!
Tequila has been in the Mexican and Indian culture for centuries, long before Cortez. In fact, the Tequila Indians in the Guadalajara area found that if they scooped the heart out of the blue agave plant, which is a cactus indigenous to that area, if they scooped that heart out and they roasted it and they crushed it and they extracted the juice and then they let it ferment, they got some real kickapoo out of it. Well, when tequila is first manufactured, it's all clear like this, and it's called joven, or young tequila. Now, if you're a teetotaler, or if you're not crazy about hard liquor, but you'd kind of like to get an idea of what tequila tastes like, since it's all 40% alcohol, I recommend you pour a healthy glass of tequila. You pour out the top 40% and you drink the rest, and that'll give you a good idea of what tequila is all about. Now, I mentioned that this is young tequila, joven tequila. Well, what makes it gold then if this is silver?
The gold tequila is simply taking the Joven, the clear, putting it in a Spanish oak cask for about, 6 months, letting it rest, as they say. It's called reposado, or rested tequila, and out it comes gold. Now, either one of these is great for margaritas, and it's fairly inexpensive. If you leave the reposado in that cask for 3 years, then you get some real great sipping tequila. Añejo, boy, is it great. Well, you know, as much as I like talking about tequila, I'd rather drink it. Salud. The next morning, we fly over the most spectacular coastline of the trip. We're heading southeast past Laguna San Ignacio towards the town of San Juanico. The mouth of Laguna San Ignacio is the doorway to another gray whale nursery. The whales seem to be more curious and friendly in this smaller lagoon. The whales congregate in the lagoon between January and April to give birth and to breed. A 5,000-foot dirt strip can handle almost any air traffic, but is only open during the whale watching season. We just happened to join a group of Baja bush pilots for a spectacular 2-hour boat ride to meet the friendly leviathans and their babies up close and personal. Our next stop is Puerto Lopez Mateos, a commercial fishing town that's chief endeavor is catching and canning sardines. But during January through March, you can land at the strip and easily walk to the pier and catch a whale watching tour. The community has over 4,000 residents, and we thought that warranted a full-fledged Pemex station, but we were wrong.
We need 3 hours of fuel to get in here, and I don't have it, so we need to pick up, I would say, let's go to Constitucion, and that is 20 nautical.
We turn toward Ciudad Constitucion, only 20 nautical miles inland across the Magdalena Plain. We land at a small agricultural strip on the northern outskirts of the second largest city in Baja del Sur. This is the center of a large agricultural flatland fed by vast underground aquifers. Spray planes stand ready to service fields of cotton, grain, citrus, tomatoes, and peppers. Mechanics and pilots were working on the aircraft and interrupted their work to drive us several miles to get auto gas. They placed a plastic 55-gallon tank in their truck, which allowed us to fill up conveniently.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
After many muchas gracias, we sped back across miles of rectangular fields toward Magdalena Bay. Magdalena Bay was formed when part of this vast plain sank lower than sea level, and the Pacific intruded, creating a huge shallow bay lined with the higher peaks, now barrier islands. There are 2 strips near the major port of San Carlos. The agricultural products from Constitucion are shipped from here, and many of the 6,000 inhabitants work the tuna and sardine plants. There are hotels, restaurants, markets, and a public beach. This dusty town of 5,000 doesn't get much tourism. The people are very friendly to visitors, and there are some good places to eat and stay. Several of the 5 hotels offer very pleasant rooms and restaurants. This may not be a tourist town, but it's a great area for sport fishing. American sport fishermen trailer their boats in and make good use of the boat ramp. There's no argument about what these people enjoy doing most. The second best thing is talking about it.
During perhaps the early months of November late October, all through November, into December. This fishing here is spectacular. And what you find here are just herds of billfish, marlin, striped marlin in particular. So it's not unusual to go out and catch 12, 15, 20 marlin a day if they're biting. Other species that are targeted here are dorado, mahi-mahi, dolphin fish. There's just literally acres of these things down here. On the banks, you'll find grouper, you'll find other species of bottom fish, and most of these guys are eager to jump on a hook. There are mangroves, and there's an inland waterway that one can traverse, but you require a lot of local knowledge, and if you want to do that, you're probably well advised to get a guide to take you up into this place. And this is a Tarzan River run, this is a jungle run, this is Disneyland stuff up there with mangroves and curves, and there are all kinds of species and subspecies of various fish that one never sees, and you can catch them on flies and poppers and this kind of thing. So you have a wide variety of challenges, and you can do a whole lot of things, different things on a daily basis to stimulate the angler.
This hard-working crab fisherman is hauling in buckets of blue crab from the bay and explains that he makes about $1 for each kilo. He confided that it was too much work for the money, even though the price is good right now.
So it's $1 a kilo.
We continue along a relatively boring barren coastline toward the narrowest part of Baja and the southern tip.
Well, it's hard to see it in this haze, but we're at the narrowest part of Baja. We're about 25-mile stretch across the La Paz there. That means that we're entering one of the few restricted areas in Baja. And if you look on your WAC chart, there are 2 restricted areas around La Paz, and the only restricted areas in Baja right now. The big one that we're flying through is MR 400. And if you look in the legend, that's the civilian one. The other one is a military one. The legend says that up to 10,000 feet, there's a restriction there. So what we need to do is call La Paz Approach and just let them know, since they don't have radar at the moment, where we are. And we'll use their radial off their VOR. So we're all tuned in, and I'm going to go to La Paz Approach right now and call in. La Paz Approach, La Paz Approach. Piper 668 Alpha.
Piper 668 Alpha, go ahead, sir.
As Piper 668 Alpha is transitioning down the Pacific coast to Cabo. We're at 4,000 feet, and we are on your 260 radial.
Say your Piper and destination.
Our destination is San Jose del Cabo.
Your last point of departure.
Our point of departure was Via Constitucion.
668 Alpha, altimeter setting 29.83, report AFIN.
668 Alpha, thank you. Okay, that was easy. I'm going to keep tuned now to approach, and the reason is he may want to contact me at some point down the line. Otherwise, I'm just going to call him when I get out of the restricted area, and he'll probably just say, okay, go to the next frequency, which will be, for me, San Jose del Cabo.
The majestic Sierra de Laguna is off our left wing as we sail toward Cabo. On an earlier trip, we cut through a pass with pine-covered granite peaks on both sides. This is a popular hiking area for the Cape residents. They can climb out of the tropics and into the alpine meadows. The Sierra drops off rapidly, and the international jet port at San Jose del Cabo is easily located. But back on the Pacific coast, we approach the uncontrolled paved strip at Cabo San Lucas, with the famous resort town in the background. Only a few decades ago, this was an unpretentious fishing village. Now it's an internationally renowned vacation resort, complete with posh high-rises, spectacular white sandy beaches, and a swinging nightlife. As a final adios to our Pacific coast adventure, we fly around Finisterre, Land's End, where the Mexicans claim the Pacific ends and the Gulf of California begins.